Democratic lawmaker is calling for the release of the House Ethics Committee's report on Matt Gaetz, even after his withdrawal as Donald Trump's pick for AG. Democratic Congressman Casten of Illinois said, "While I welcome the news that Matt Gaetz is withdrawing from consideration for Attorney General, it remains important that the Gaetz report be made available to the American people." And Congressman Casten is with me now. So, Congressman, you're pushing for the House Ethics Committee to release its report on Gaetz, but he's no longer a member of Congress. He's not looking to serve in the cabinet. What's the justification for this?
So let's review the calendar here. In July, long before Matt Gaetz was considered to be the Attorney General, long before we even knew who the next president would be, the Ethics Committee was prepared to release the report. This report has extremely serious allegations in it. Right? Allegations of financial propriety, allegations of sexual misconduct, including but not limited to paying for sex with a 17-year-old minor. The Ethics Committee should have released the report then. We led 100 members of Congress in calling for the release of this report at the start of this week, and that was in the context of the Attorney General, and then he withdrew from Attorney General. I would ask your viewers to ask if in your office you had those sorts of allegations against someone who you worked with, would you believe that resignation from the job means that you will no longer be held accountable for those actions? That would be unacceptable in any other workplace.
But Congressman, usually then the police would take up that matter, right? If it's a private person, you wouldn't expect a company then to continue with their own internal investigation after the person's left the company. Especially when you're talking about, as you're right, these are serious allegations. Sex with a minor is a crime, and that's where the legal system is responsible.
Well, traditionally, when there is an investigation being done by the House Ethics Committee, until the investigation is complete, there usually aren't referrals to the Department of Justice. I don't know if this includes those referrals. We also need to keep in mind that we don't know whether Matt Gaetz will be nominated for another position. We don't know whether he will seek to take his position in the next Congress. He's only resigned in this Congress. Accountability has to be there, and this is as important for the House as it is for the trust of the American people. The American people are saying, do we hold ourselves to the same standard? And I would also point out that as a matter of precedent, in 2010, Eric Massa, a Democrat, was accused of sexual misconduct with his staff. He resigned in an effort to get away from that hearing, and the investigation continued. This is not without precedent. The only thing that would be precedential is if we were to decide that Matt Gaetz is above the law that we apply to other people.
Congressman, I want to ask you about some speculation that Gaetz was picked in part to be a distraction from some of the other nominees in ways to become a lightning rod so that the others can sail through the confirmation process. Do you think that that was part of what was going on here? And if that's the case, what does his withdrawal from consideration mean?
Look, I can't speculate on that process. I will tell you that there is a deep concern, at least among the Democratic members of Congress, at how many of the people who Trump has nominated have significant allegations of sexual misconduct, including, but of course not limited to, Donald Trump himself. There are significant concerns about Tulsi Gabbard and how she might be compromised as a national security. There are all sorts of concerns there. We in the House have the ability to compel the release of the Gaetz information. The balance of those, barring some other information that's going to come out, is going to come down substantially to the Senate and their advice and consent clause. And it would be my hope that the Senate takes their responsibility seriously, regardless of what happens with Matt Gaetz. But that will be the job of the Senate.
Congressman, you served with Gaetz, obviously on opposite sides of the aisle. What do you think is his political future? Because that was referred to by the president-elect.
I don't know. I just hope that he is held to account. It's truly disgusting to read what these allegations are, to know that he has bragged about it, hearing what he's shared with colleagues on the floor allegedly. But it's even more disgusting that so many of my colleagues think that's okay as long as it's a Republican. We shouldn't be here, right? This is unambiguously morally reprehensible behavior. You wouldn't want this person to babysit your children. Why are we even talking about whether they should have some other role in government? Let's hold a consistent moral standard and, live by the golden rule.
All right, Congressman Casten, thank you.
Thank you.